Hello, Sharon. Hello, Barbara. Hi, June. Hi, Vanessa. Hi, Leslie. Welcome, welcome, ladies. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, brilliant. Lovely. So I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes just to make sure, just to see if anybody else joins us live. We had quite, well, I think it was over 25 people that signed up in the end. A couple of people I know are going to catch it on replay, but I always like to give it a couple of minutes to see, you know, if anyone else can join us. So whilst we're waiting, just do me a favor, drop a little comment in the chat and let me know why you're here today and where you're joining us from. So whilst you're typing, we are in the southwest in the UK. It is ridiculously hot, hence the little, summer dress, because it is just so warm. Leo is not coping particularly well, bless his little heart, but we've got many mechanisms to try to keep him cool if he chooses to use them. But yeah, primarily we're keeping all windows shut, which seems crazy because you'd think we'd want the air to come through, but actually what it does, it lets in hot air. So, you know, we're keeping the cool air in the house, the gorgeous hot sunny air outside. And he can choose to, you know, come and go as he wishes. I think he finds it quite a cool place outside occasionally, because yesterday he was out for pretty much most of the day. But obviously being a black cat, you know, he gets very warm very quickly. So yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle. Okay. So I can see Sharon's got a gorgeous purple scarf, or is that a flannel around your neck? Nice, cool, yeah, lovely, beautiful colour. I've been working on some, well, a bit of a secret project at the moment, and purple is an interesting colour. Part of what I've been working on. Oh, we've got somebody else joining us. Okay, hi Fernanda. Let me get the chat box up. 12-month-old. Wow. Plymouth, brilliant. Separation issues, oh dear. Leslie from West Midlands. Cats are asleep. Nice. Fans are not joined to discover Remedy, hopefully, for my 2 cats. Gorgeous, lovely. I was on a call last night and it's a cat that kept walking past the screen. It was so funny. Gorgeous black cat, obviously wanted attention, and mum just would not stop walking past the screen. It was absolutely hilarious. Barbara, I'm following from Lionel Moraes. Oh, awesome. Met you throughout Keswick, Cumbria. Brilliant. Lovely to have you here. Nyana, oh, my love. She's such an awesome soul. We worked together so well on the book. It was such an honor. Hi, Fernanda. That is the book. Yes, show your book if you've got them, people. I love that, Barbara. Like a mini wave of the Aromatic Cat book. Oh, awesome. Sharon's got hers as well. Lovely. Brilliant. So, Fernanda, just drop a comment and let me know why you're here today, love, and where you're watching from, just so I can get an idea where people are from. I'm just waiting a few minutes to see if anybody else wants to join. June from Silver End. That makes it sound very magical, June. That sounds lovely.
Julianne, I don't know, I can't work out how to use the chat. It's Vanessa in Chichester. I can't work out how to use the chat box, sorry.
Don't worry.
Becky, okay.
Thank you for letting us know, Vanessa. I appreciate that.
Oh, and I've got 2 Burmese cats.
Lovely, lovely. Do you have the book? Do you have the Aromatic Cat book?
I don't yet. No, I don't have it yet, but I've got your herbs. Thank you.
Awesome. Good. Yeah, no worries. Zoom, I think, is one of those things, you know, it takes a while to master. There are different things, you know, getting yourself in, your camera, the chat, the volume. It took me a while, you know, to understand it. Brazil, awesome. Integrative veterinarian. Lovely. Thank you very much, Fernanda. It's great to have you here. Absolutely brilliant. So I'm just going to wait one more minute. There we go. 12:35. Right, let's get going. I've got quite a lot to cover today. And I want to make sure, oh, June's got a book. Lovely, thank you. Want to make sure we cover everything that I want to. So hopefully going to share my screen. Don't panic. It's not death by PowerPoint. It's only a couple of slides to help me stay on track. So who's on my screen? Sharon, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see the slide, hun? Lovely. Perfecto. Thank you. So welcome everyone to today's Lunch and Learn. This is the last of the 4 we've currently got scheduled, and I'm just debating whether to do any more. So if there's any topics that you'd like to cover or like to see in a Lunch and Learn, please drop it in the comments or just drop me a message and let me know. So today we're talking about the Aromatic Cat book, which, as you can see, I co-authored with Nyana, who's another holistic animal practitioner. And, you know, we brought the book about because there is so much fear and doubt and worry and misinformation about using remedies, particularly essential oils with cats. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about self-selection and that today, but if you are interested in learning more, we have got a free webinar replay, which is on our YouTube channel, Cats and Self-Selection. So, you know, in that webinar, I talk about different types of remedies, how you can use them, how to prepare your cat for a session, and so much more. So if you don't already follow us on YouTube, head over there, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. All our free webinars are always on there for you to catch on replay. So, you know, the information that's in the book, coupled with hopefully the replay, might give you a bit more information. So we brought the book together to bust the myths, you know, to help cat guardians understand how amazing botanical remedies can be when you're working with your cat. And you may or may not know my mission, #giving cats a voice. This is part of that, you know, this is part of being able to say to people, this is how you can help your cat. This is how you can allow your cat to balance themselves, to heal themselves. You've just got to give them the tools to do so. You know, we can book in for a massage or, you know, a Reiki treatment or whatever it may be for our health and well-being. Cats don't have that much control over their environment. So as their guardians, you know, we really have a duty to provide for them. And complementary and alternative treatments are an awesome way to support your cat. So today I'm going to talk to you about my top 10 remedies. So in the book, which you can get from my website, www.naturallycats.co.uk, in the book, Nyana and I put 40 botanical profiles. We still had trouble narrowing it down to 40. We still went to and fro talking about, I want this one and I want that one. And it was, you know, in the loveliest way. It was a real struggle for both of us to narrow it down, because I think depending on the cats that I'm working with at the time, depending on the behavior or the emotional issues that I'm working with, really vary as to which are my top remedies. But the ones I'm going to talk to you about in a minute are the ones that I use in some shape or form with every client. So the profiles in the book, you know, we talk about the history and the character. We talk about the plant, you know, where it's come from, how it was, you know, used, you know, in days gone by. And we also talk about the physical and behavioral uses that you can use a remedy for. So for example, like geranium, you know, you can use it for dry and greasy, flaky skin, endocrine imbalances, hormone problems, you know, but you can also use it for insecure cats, for it really balances, you know, mind and body. So each remedy you can't put each remedy in a box, I think, is one thing that I'd like you to take away from today. There's not a one size fits all. You know, I can't say geranium will cure anxiety because it's really dependent on each cat. What I can say is, for example, geranium is balancing. So it could be something that you offer, you know, and if it's the right remedy for your cat, they will select it. In the webinar replay, I also talked about signs of remedy processing. So again, that's not something I'm going to cover today. I'm not going to talk to you about what to look for, how to work with your cat. Catch that in the replay. Today really is just talking to you about my top 10 remedies. So without further ado, let me click it again and hope that it works. I love technology. There we go. Yes. So, as we've mentioned, why use remedies? Because they're amazing. Why wouldn't you use remedies? You know, that list has got to be bigger. I mean, for me, it's another way to give the cats a voice. Like I said, you know, we have so much control. We decide when we feed them. We decide sometimes when they can go out. when they play, when we'll play with them. So really they have control over, when they sleep and when they poop, so cats really thrive on an element of structure and control and routine. So if we can give them a choice into how they deal with the day-to-day of living with us as humans, it's a really brilliant opportunity to support their health and well-being. Now, I talk about, 4 paws to perfection. There's a replay for 4 paws to perfection webinar on the website, in the shop. And I talk about, the 4 elements we need to consider for a cat: mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual health. And Remedies can help all of these. One remedy may help 1 paw, one remedy may help all 4. So, I use them with Pickle. I learned ever so much with Pickle. I did the, feline zoopharmacognosy diploma, which is all about using remedies just with cats. I didn't do the dog bit, I didn't do the horse bit. I learned, in I think it was 2 years, just how to work with cats and remedies. So today I've got a real mixture, and they are, like I said, they are my top 10. If you get the book and you're like, wow, there's 40, where on earth do we start? What do I get? What do I buy first? The plan for today is to give you an idea as to where to start. Now, I'm going to talk to you in a little bit about the format of each remedy. And again, what I would say is, don't think you've got to get every format on day one. If you want to try remedy with your cat, I would always recommend herbs first, because it's the softest, gentlest, energy wise, it's the lightest to work with. Cats are very energetic beings. Essential oils are hugely potent, very, very strong. And yes, sometimes if a cat's got a situation that's chronic, it may need to work with an essential oil, but try a herb first. So what I've got here is a real mixture of powders, essential oils, and herbs, pretty much. So I want to talk to you about how to get them. So the X's that I've put in here, they're the ones that I'm aware of, right? There might be a St. John's wort essential oil. I've just never come across it, or I've never found one. So, this isn't a definitive list. This is my experience, my knowledge, and my understanding. So what time? Yeah. So my first remedy is Angelica. Now, all of these that I will talk about today are in the book. So you don't have to worry about making too many notes. If you've got the book, you can read more on it. I'll reference it as we go through. So Angelica, for me, when I was doing the tables with Nyana, they're at the back of the book. Let me get to one. You'll see here, we've got tables per condition. So we've got like flighty, impatient, insecure, anxious. And then we've got it by condition, and we've got it by remedy. When we were doing the tables by condition, I had Angelica root for pretty much everything. And Nyana was saying to me, like, you've got to be more specific. I'm like, but it's great. It's a lovely all-rounding remedy. So for me, Angelica root is very nurturing. It's very emotionally supportive. Now, I work very much from an emotional perspective outwards. People come to me with behavior problems, but what I actually do is start to look at the emotional cause, the emotional reason, the emotional root behind it. So for me, Angelica root is very gentle, very subtle. It's not too strong in terms of its scent. So I primarily use the dried herb. It's in over half of my gardens that you can get from the shop. It smells a little funky to me, but most cats that I've seen work with it absolutely love it. And what happens, I find, is that when they're working with the Angelica, there's always, at some point, whether it's first of all straight away, or whether it's a few minutes later, there's always a really big sigh, which is a wonderful release of energy. So I find Angelica very grounding, very emotionally supportive. And if you think about our cats today, They're dealing with us, all our emotions, all our stress, all our worries. You know, they're little sponges, which you may have heard me say before. So Angelica, as you'll see in the list, everything apart from the 2 powders, which is spirulina, barley grass, and green clay, everything is herb. You know, so if you're not sure where to start with a herb. Then calendula, fabulous remedy. So calendula is also in the book. Let's go to page 72. Now, calendula is wonderful because it supports physical issues. So if there's inflammation, if you've got any wounds, if there's bruising, it's a wonderful remedy to reduce inflammation. And from my perspective, I use it because it helps to boost self-confidence. It, you know, if you look at the flower, it literally brings, you know, sunshine and warmth into the home. It's really good for nervous and timid cats. So those that you've got in a multi-cat household, anybody, I think it was Sharon mentioned about, you know, dealing with separation anxiety, you know, it's going to help the cat to feel confident and grounded. So if you buy a garden from me and it's got calendula in it, you'll find you've got the heads of the flowers as well as the petals. Now, some places when you can purchase this online, you just get the petals. But for me, I like the heads of the flowers because I've seen Leo, which drives my husband crazy. I've seen Leo so many times batting them around the house like he does with the rosebuds, you know, and it gets really crummy and a bit messy, but it brings out the joy in him. And how does, you know, when we're happy, when we experience joy, that boosts our self-confidence. You know, it helps us to feel worthy and loved and have fun. So calendula is my second favorite remedy. I would say these aren't in order of preference. These are in alphabetical order because I'm OCD like that. So these aren't in order of, you know, my most favorite to my least favorite, not at all. Okay, so then we go on to ginger, and ginger is page 97. So ginger is it's very much like calendula. It's a very warming remedy. Now, in terms of herb, I don't really have the herb. I've got ginger root that's kind of, so it's not ground to be a powder. It's almost just like the step before that, you know, so it's like granulated almost, you know, but the great thing is with having it in that format, you know, the cats, like with all herbs, can ingest it really easily. So ginger for me, it helps with the body in terms of, any kind of like tummy upset, you know, like if you're feeling unwell, you might have a chamomile tea or a peppermint tea, a ginger tea. If you're feeling quite cold and your energy is not really kind of flowing around your body, again, great remedy to have. So what I would say, just as a side note, which is a bit rogue, but all of these remedies, apart from the powders, which the green clay and the spirulina, you could try and make as a tea. And that seems bonkers, right? So in terms of offering the remedy to the cat, you've got a drop of essential oil on a piece of fabric, or the bottle with the lid on, offering from a distance. The dried herb you put down on a herb garden. So you've got, you know, your towel or your blanket in a really quiet area of the home, and you've got a good pinch of each herb in each corner. The macerated oil you've got down on a saucer, never anything added to food, because it's about self-selection. It's about letting the cat choose what they want. So you put it on a saucer and see if they like to either inhale it or ingest it. And then the powder, same thing. Mix it with water or organic sunflower oil and put it down on a saucer for the cat to self-select. But what you can also do is make a tea. So for example, if you've got calendula, you know, even the herbs from my shop, you can do this with, you know, to try it, to experiment. So put a pinch, you know, either in a cup, or if you've got a steeper, you know, maybe, I don't know if it's a UK thing, but you can get little, you know, like containers that you put tea leaves in, like peppermint, and you put it into the water and steep it, you know, let it soak. Again, 5 minutes, 50 minutes, doesn't matter. The strength, strong or weak, doesn't matter. Try it. You know, obviously let it cool. And then again, putting it down on a saucer, never adding to food, never putting it on or in the cat, let them choose. So it could be that, you know, the dried herb isn't quite strong enough for them, but they haven't selected the essential oil. So try and make a tea. Try and make, you know, a water-soluble version to see if they ingest it. So Angelica, calendula, ginger, all three that you can try, the essential oil or the herb, or like I said, with ginger, it can be ground up even more into a powder. What I would say is a note of caution with ginger, don't use, you know, your Schwartz packet from your herb and spice rack. You know, it's probably really old. And I'm not saying like yours would be, but when we buy them from the supermarket, even if you buy it fresh, it's still quite old. You know, it's not going to be too potent. You don't really know what it's mixed with, although it's fit for human consumption. You know, so if you're going to use any herbs or powders, get organic if you can. Okay. If the cat is likely to ingest something, you want it to be as preservative and additive and chemical free as possible. Okay. So let's talk about the powders. So I'm going to do green clay first. Green clay is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I use it for everything. I am super clumsy. I hold my hand up. I am super clumsy. My head is always thinking of 50 things at once. And my body is so far behind that I bang it on the door frame. I stub my toe. I bang my knee. I've got bruises in places I don't even know where they came from, you know, a little too personal. But I'm just trying to emphasize the fact that, you know, as a human, I use green clay. So for cats, it's fabulous. It helps to heal the skin. It helps to reduce inflammation. It helps to close wounds. It helps to clean wounds. It's antibacterial, antifungal, something else. I think it's in the book. I think I cajoled Nyana to put it in the book. Hang on. We did, page 147. So green clay, strongly detoxifying and drawing, best for abscesses and internal use. So when we've used it for Leo, and I did it with Pickle, he came home, it must have been about 18 months ago now, and he had a small wound about that big on his flank, on his side. And it was open. You know, he'd obviously cut it on something. And of course, as a cat mum, I'm freaking out because my baby's hurt, was obviously the first reaction. And the second was, you know, okay, let's take a breath. What have I got in my store cupboard staples? What remedy can I use to help him, to heal him? So I didn't mix anything with the green clay. You can do, but that's a topic for another time. What I want to talk to you about today is just using green clay as it is. It's a simple but powerful remedy. So basically, I got a little eye makeup brush, a clean one, straight out of the packet, so there's no eyeshadow on it. And I used the brush and I just gently dusted the powder onto the wound. Now, it didn't sting, it didn't hurt. Leo had no reaction apart from wondering what on earth I was doing because I was, you know, poking around on his thigh. And that's it. That's all we did. So 24 hours later, I checked it. There was a little bit of residual clay around the wound, but it opened again. So I sprinkled some more on. And basically, it helped to heal. Within, I think it was three or 4 days, the wound had completely sealed and the fur had started to grow back. So it's great for wound care, you know. Now, obviously, if your cat, God forbid, drags itself in from a road traffic accident or has a horrific experience, please see the vet. You know, let's be sensible people. You know, these remedies I'm talking about are for maintenance, you know, health, well-being. It's not about if you're in a crisis situation and you need veterinary care, get to a vet, okay? I've used green clay on myself. I burn myself a lot in the kitchen. I cut myself a lot in the kitchen. Like I said, I'm clumsy. So what I will do is, rather than just having the dry powder, which you can do, you can sprinkle it if you've got like a flea bite or a fly bite. If you've got like eczema, something like that, any sort of skin irritation, you can dust the powder on. But for me, I mix it with a bit of water and I make it into like a paste. And basically, if I've got a burn on my arm, you'll see, you know, I will put on the burn and just slightly around the area this green paste, you know, and I do it quite thick and I sit and let it dry. If I can leave it on overnight, great. It does tend to sort of get a bit crummy and get in the sheets. If you want to cover it with, you know, a light covering, but obviously the idea is to get fresh air around it, and then gently wash it off the next day and basically rinse and repeat, and it will help the wound to heal. And actually with burns, it reduces the scarring as well, which is awesome. So green clay is a must. Then we move on to jasmine. So when I was doing my training, jasmine was referred to by Caroline Ingram as a hug in a bottle. I thought that was a wonderful description. I don't particularly like the smell of it very much. It's very floral. And let's have a look and see what page, because my remedies, I noticed, are on the book. 105. So you'll notice there's not a lot of physical uses for jasmine. We've got infertility and impotence. But what we have got is quite a good list of behavioral. So jasmine for me is like angelica. When I start working with a cat, these are two of my ones straight away. So jasmine and angelica and rose actually help to open the cat up to healing. Now, what we have to remember is that cats are a predator and a prey animal. So they don't just, you don't put a remedy down. They're like, oh, this is great. I'm going to relax into the healing. I'm going to go into my Zen space. I'm going to chill out. Every minute cats are on alert. They're looking to see what's going on around them. They're looking for threats. They're looking to see if they've got to react. So cats take a while to heal. They take a while to lean into the healing, energetically, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and mentally, all of those different ways. So if you put a herb garden down and your cat doesn't go to it for 48 hours, don't panic. Doesn't mean they don't need it. It means that they're assessing it almost for threats. With herbs, I always say leave it down for at least a week. And also, just because you don't see your cat rub and roll and flick the herbs everywhere, doesn't mean they're not using it. Some cats can be very subtle and need just the energy. So they may sit near the herbs, on the herbs, beside the herbs. So as difficult as it might be, try to let go of any expectations that you have when you're working with any remedies. It's not about what you think the cat needs. It's about letting the cat choose what they need and how they need it. So jasmine, for me, a wonderful remedy. It's very grounding. And as I said, it's really soft. It's really gentle. It's really light. And let's just talk about rose whilst we're here as well, because rose is the same. And let me see what page rose is on. Rose is on page 125. So where is it? Put it in here. Rose is one of the most yin remedies that there are. So again, it's very balancing. And when you've got aggressive cats or fearful cats, cats that are emotionally unbalanced, when you bring in rose, jasmine, and angelica, because they're very nurturing, they can be really supportive. Now, if you think about aggression, I coined 10 types of aggression, but ultimately aggression is about boundaries, and boundaries are being crossed, which is why they're reacting. Depends in what situation and what circumstance it is. But if they're aggressive, they're reactive. Now, jasmine, rose, and angelica all help to nurture them, to help them realize you don't need to be that reactive. Let's bring that energy down. That's not to say that you might still have to make changes to the environment to remove the stressor, to introduce them to the cats, whatever the situation may be. But yin is the feminine, and every being, human, cat, and others, have that masculine and feminine balance. All of us do, regardless of whether you'd identify to male, female, or other. We've all got those energies inside of us. And when cats are in a fearful or aggressive state or anxious, it's going to help to give them some balance. So, and like I said, rosebuds, again, it brings out the playful side. Whether you've got an 18-year-old cat, an 8-year-old cat, or an 8-month-old cat, doesn't matter. Actual rosebuds are really great to bring out that joy. You don't need to take the stems off. You don't need to crunch them up or break them down. If they've been on your herb garden for a week, then sure, give them just a gentle crush to release more of the aromatics. But let the cat have fun with them. Use them as a tool to play with. Flick one across the room. See if your cat will run after it. Get involved yourself. So just circling back up to peppermint, which is page 123. And the best way to talk to you about peppermint is to say whatever you know of it for human uses is exactly the same for cat uses. So people have peppermint tea from my understanding, you know, when you've got an upset tummy, you know, you're feeling a bit nervous, either from anxiety or like literally you've got an upset digestion, you know, people have peppermint to cool. Now, you know, we talked about ginger and calendula being warming. So if you've got a cat that has, that's quite elderly or isn't moving very well, calendula and ginger are going to give them that warmth on their joints. Equally, if you've got a cat that's suffering from something that's an inflammatory condition, for example, like arthritis or irritable bowel, something like that, you know, colitis, something like that, you don't want to give them warming remedies or offer them warming remedies. You want to try offering cooling remedies. So peppermint is a wonderful cooling remedy. Again, start with the herb. Peppermint essential oil is hugely potent. You know, even when I get it out of my kit before I've even taken the lid off, I can smell it. And obviously our sense of smell is ridiculously, you know, subdued compared to cats, you know, so I definitely want to recommend using the herb. Spirulina and barley grass, they are towards the back. They're with the clays and they are page 149 and 150. So spirulina and barley grass have as a powder, and as I mentioned before, you can use these either neat as the powder or you can use them with a little bit of water or oil. So Pickle always used to love them both just as the powder. We would get it everywhere, you know, drive my husband crazy, but she would just have the powder. Leo doesn't like it that way at all. He wouldn't ingest any of it. So I mixed it with a little organic sunflower oil. And again, depending on the consistency, sometimes quite runny, sometimes a bit thicker, depends what he wants to choose. Again, down on a saucer. When I say organic sunflower oil, nothing that you get from the supermarket, not supermarket stuff. It needs to be from either a health food shop or a specific, you know, animal remedy selling place. So I get mine from Caroline Ingram. It's very expensive. Postage is very expensive, but I know that it is suitable for animals to ingest. Sadly, the stuff from supermarkets is really heavily adulterated, and I want Leo to have the best that he can. So spirulina and barley grass, amazingly full of nutrients. That's not very good English, but they are such a boost for the immune system, for the body, for health. I mean, I can't, you know, we haven't got time to list the beneficial properties. They are like a superfood. And particularly if you've got an indoor cat, great ones to offer. Because even if you've got cat grass, when cats have access to outside, they will potentially eat different types of grasses. Whereas when we grow cat grass, it's generally one type, you know. So unless you've got, you know, a selection of cat grasses for your indoor cat, it's really great to offer spirulina or barley grass once a week. You know, you don't have to do it every day, but one day try a little bit of spirulina powder on a saucer, leave it down for 3 days, see if they use it. You know, the week after, try barley grass. Then the week after that, mix it with a little bit of water, have a thin consistency, then a thick experiment. There's no right or wrong here. You know, you can't go wrong as long as you put it down on a saucer and let the cat choose. So those two powders, brilliant for cats of all ages. Brilliant especially for elderly cats, any cats over 10, to give them an extra immune boost. Okay, how are we doing for time? Oh, damn it. So St. John's wort is page 129. Another brilliant one, very much like calendula. So it's great for body, it's great for the physical. You know, you can use it as a macerated oil, like I said, with calendula. You can use it for wounds and infections, sores. It helps if ingested with arthritis and joint issues, viral infections. So physically speaking, it's wonderful. But what I love, as you know, me and my emotions, it's brilliant for depression, for withdrawn cats, fearful cats, angry cats, you know, cats that are new to the home, cats that have been fighting with other cats in the neighborhood or a multi-cat home, cats that are feeling really unloved or detached or anxious, fearful, lonely. If you've had another cat pass away in the home, it's a wonderful remedy. So again, I would say the herb, but what I've also found with St. John's wort in my experience is that the macerated oil, which is a brilliant red color, is very, very powerful. And actually the macerated oil can be more effective because the herb doesn't have a strong aroma. So the botanicals that come off the St. John's wort, yes, they are there. Obviously, because you've dried it, it has a different makeup to the fresh plant. And again, depending on how withdrawn, for example, the cat may be, the herb may be enough. But if you've got a particularly depressed cat or you've got a chronic issue, try the macerated oil. Again, don't forget, can't say it enough, never add to food. And then finally, page 136, the stinkiest of herbs and remedies, valerian. I absolutely detest it, and Leo loves it. So the other weekend, husband was away, and I thought, I really should put some powder down, which reminds me, I've just realized I haven't put an X in that compartment. So valerian, you can get dried herb essential oil. I haven't seen a macerated oil. I suppose I could make one, or you can get a valerian root powder. Now, be warned, people. I know some people like valerian. They have valerian tea, and it helps with sleep. Great, good for you. For me, it just smells like sweaty feet. I have seen so many more cats react and select valerian over catnip. Now, again, valerian has amazing properties. So we're talking, it helps with depression and anxiety, with fear. It's got sedative components. So, it helps to calm the autonomic system. It helps to kind of, soothe that fight and flight, that adrenaline that's rushing around the cat. So it's wonderful. And in terms of the body, it's antispasmodic. So again, if you've got IBS with the cat, or you've got anxiety manifesting from the stomach, it's wonderful. In the book, we've got physical use as shock, sedation, cystitis, seizures, muscle relaxant, behavioral, chronic fear of known things, hysteria, panic, anxiety, insecurity, over grooming, stress. It's wonderful. And what I've actually seen is cats in multi-cat homes always select it, in my experience. It's a great kind of like maintenance herb, so if you try a garden, you might want, say, for example, the digestion one, and when the digestion issues passed with the cat, great, you can put another garden down, I don't know, a month or two later. I think that a herb garden should be down for every cat all the time. And with that, I think valerian should be one of those herbs, because if the cat has to deal with, someone knocking on the door and they're a frightful cat, it gives them the opportunity to cope with that stress, that emotion. So we have the option to turn off our phones, or put on the telly, or read a book, or have a bath. We can choose what we need to deal with our stress, that's going on. For me, this is what valerian does for cats. So whether you've got the powder down, which will stink the house out, that's what I did when husband was away. We had all the doors open. Oh my God, it was gross, but he loved it. And as soon as I put it down, he went and licked it off the plate. And it's been down now for nearly 2 weeks. I've been topping it up, putting a fresh plate down. And we've noticed that he actually has it more often than not before he's due his inhaler, first thing in the morning. So for him, what does that show you? As much as he behaviorally will sit there and take his puffer with us, there's either some form of anxiety or some form of discomfort in his body, physical or emotional, that means he's able to go and have a little lick of the plate and then come and have his puffer done, which for me is what it's about. It's giving him the tools to deal with his day-to-day life. So we're really short of time. So sadly, I'm going to whiz through this one. What I wanted to show you here was really about the fact that the remedies that I've picked cover most issues, behavioral, physical, and emotional. Now, for me, when I talk about the 4 paws to perfection, the spiritual paw sits across them all, like with mentor. So if you've got good physical health, you've got good emotional health, as a consequence of that, you've got good mental health. If you've got if there aren't any behavior problems, it's likely that the cat might be connected quite spiritually. So I've been talking as we went through the remedies, what they can be used for. So for example, like peppermint, behaviorally great if you've got an aggressive cat, because that fury, that rage, if you think about a behavioral reaction as an emotion, aggression, anger, it helps to calm that down if it's selected. Physically, it has a cooling effect on the body. You remember we talked about, if you've got inflammation, it helps to cool that in the joints, in the body, in the digestion. And emotionally, now for me, it can be difficult at times to tie the emotional side to remedies because you can't see it necessarily. But my understanding and my experience of working with cats and having my own is that the emotions are the bit that we don't see, but they're the bit that's most affected. So if you've got a cat that has got inflammation in their body, imagine what it's like to deal with that day in, day out. Imagine the emotional toll that takes. That can make them a bit withdrawn or a bit fed up or a bit reactive. It makes them a bit sad. If they're dealing with a multi-cat home and there are territory disputes or they just don't like each other, again, that's going to be quite upsetting for the cat. So although we don't see directly the emotion, you can align the emotion to behavioral and to physical reasons, to physical causes. So I'll make sure that you guys have got a copy of these slides when you get the recording, just so that you don't have to make notes now and you can have a look, to see what the remedies align with in terms of the 4 paws. But as you can see, let me just move my camera slightly. Apart from green clay and spirulina and barley grass, the ones that I've put here cover all 3, which is what I said at the beginning. They're great all-round remedies. There isn't, in my experience, there's no behavioral need for green clay. Like I said, it's a topical application remedy. Spirulina and barley grass, it might help emotionally, actually, thinking about it, because if I think about Pickle, when she was dealing with chronic arthritis, diabetes, pancreatitis, IBS, gingivitis, for her to have an immune boost actually probably did make her feel good, feel better, So I know we've covered a lot in the book. And although it's a thin book, there is so much information in here. And like I said, with the 40 profiles, we tell you for each one, how would we would use it. Linden blossom, another of my favorites. Dried herbs, use it as a dried flowers or hydrosol. You don't have to get both versions of a remedy. If in doubt, start with the herb, because it's very soft, it's very gentle. It helps you while you're learning about self-selection and remedies, and you can't go wrong. Put it down, see what the cat will do. If you want to graduate onto something next, try macerated oils. So in terms of strength, that would be the next one. And then work your way up to essential oils. Don't be fearful. Don't worry about getting it wrong. What I would say is just be practical and be safe. Let the cat do the work. Let the cat make a choice. Don't add anything to food. Don't add anything topically, apart from green clay if it's a wound. Let them choose. Okay. Brilliant. So I should have you back by now. Can you see me again? Yeah, cool. Okay, we've got 2 minutes left. Any quick questions about anything that we've covered? So I really hope it's given you an overview as to what to try, where to start. You don't have to get every single one. If you want to start with a particular condition, try that way. Start at the back of the book. Find what it is that you're dealing with. For example, somebody mentioned separation anxiety. Look for anxiety, see what the remedies are. Try it. Give it a go. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Oh, I use it in a hydrosol. Oh, what is that, Leslie? What do you use in a hydrosol? She's frantically typing now. Valerian, yes. Do you know what? I haven't mentioned hydrosols. Nyana, we're very opposites. I'm herbs and then essential oils and macerates, and she's hydrosols and then the other ways to use it. Absolutely, yeah. You can get things in a hydrosol as well. I haven't covered that. I don't actually use them very often, if at all. But yes, another way to use it, which is very much like a in between the kind of the herb and the essential oil in terms of strength. So if you want to graduate, you could do herbs, hydrosols and macerated oils, and then essential oils. Okay, No other question? Barbara, go for it. Come off mute. Just quickly ask me.
I've only recently become a cat person. I'm a dog person, really. Are there any oils? Sorry. Are there any oils that I would use with dogs? So that I shouldn't use with cats?
Okay, great question. So as long as you're using self-selection principles, you should be fine. There is discussion in the aromatherapy world and the self-selection zoopharmacology world about phenols with cats. So for example, thyme being quite high in phenols. There's information about the fact they can't process it very well. Wintergreen is one that's very high in phenols and should apparently never be offered to cats. Pickle actually selected it from my toolkit once, and she sat and had the biggest energy release from it. So even those that we've had research, and I say research because there's been very light amount of research with essential oils in cats, because how do you test essential oils on cats, so phenols are an area to be cautious of. But in my experience, if you're working with self-selection and you're using it safely, the cat knows what they need. So, I would never apply anything topically. If you're using the bottle either from a distance, or you've got one drop on a piece of fabric, again, on the floor, let the cat do what they want to. If they need it, they'll go to it, they'll use it. Something that is toxic is about dosage. It's about if it's not needed. If I took a tablet every day and I didn't have to have a painkiller, that's going to have an effect on my body, whereas if I am in chronic pain and I take it, great. So what can be toxic to one, it isn't toxic to another. So in terms of any oils, I would say to steer clear from. I wouldn't advise any. I would say offer it and see what the cat needs.
Do cats purge like dogs do?
They can do, yeah.
So they might choose a remedy in order to purge.
Yeah. Which is the whole thing about hairballs, right? Fairballs. When I've used chickweed macerated oil, I've seen exactly that. I've seen cats that will gulp it, and then for those of you that aren't aware, purging, when the cat makes itself sick and either has vomiting episode or perhaps potentially the other end, it's about clearing out what they need to. So given the capacity, if we let go of control and have complete faith in their ability to know what they need, absolutely they can. It is about trusting the animal, and being safe with what you offer and how you offer it, which is why naturally cats, nothing's ever added to food. It's always about the choice, and as long as you are safe with what you're doing, you don't have the bottle of essential oil right under their nose, you do it from a distance, they will guide you and tell you what they need for sure. So trust the cat. And if you're anxious, if you're nervous, just start off slowly. If you're a new cat mum, get to know your cat, start with herbs and read their reactions, because every cat reacts differently. So although our webinar replay talks about signs of processing, every cat is different. Pickle would vehemently flare her nostrils, like with the wintergreen. I've never seen a cat do that. It's all very subtle, and their eyes slowly close or their ears move or they have a nice breath, whereas Pickle was like, she was properly selecting the oils. So start with the softer remedies and get to know your cat and how they show you, because again, some cats might be very indicative and literally like put a paw near an oil. Other cats you've got to read and you've got to wait a bit longer because they lean into the healing, and then they'll show you what they need. So trust that you know what you're doing and get to know your cat, and they will show you what it is that they need to work with. I hope that's answered your question.
Indeed, yes.
Cool. Brilliant. Okay, let's see. Use it on their bedding, etc., to calm them. Lovely. That's great. Brilliant. Well, thank you everyone for joining me. I really hope you've enjoyed it and that it's answered your questions. And like I said, you'll get the recording in 24 hours once we've uploaded it and processed it and everything. And I'll make sure that the slides are attached as well, so you can see what format you can get the remedies in and what they're good for. So thank you everyone for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next time, and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, ladies. Bye for now.